Hey there sugar dumplings, I'm back. I know it's been a little while. I have been moving and lots of crazy things have been going on. My life has been all up in the air and is still very much connected to that element of air. Everything very transient and lots of momentum and lots of, stuff to do with thought and belief and principle. So it's been a very airy time for me, and I hope that you guys have been okay in my absence, and looking forward to a massive surge of content as we head into December and New Year, because I am backed up, bitches. Seriously. I have so much in me that I have just been desperate to get out, but sometimes those real world concerns and those big picture things, they take a lot of time and a lot of energy. You know that you need to put your focus on it 100%, and I'm not out of the woods yet. I'm just going to let you know that now. But I'm still open for business. I'm still working with clients. I just did Wonder Work a week, which was amazing. I had such a great response to it. Thank you so much to everybody who checked out my content and gave me their feedback. I'm still running the business group on Facebook. You can find links for my staff below. Come over and say hello to me on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. I'm still around. I haven't disappeared off the face of the planet. I'm just trying to get stuff together. So I thought that today I would do a video about meditation, because that is one of the key core practices in my spirituality that has really gotten me through a lot of these very testing times. There have been a lot of setbacks, a lot of obstacles that I've faced, a lot of mad shit has gone down in the last few months that has made me rethink a lot of things, and it has made me face also a lot of the things in myself that I think really needed to come to the surface and be examined as we head towards that massive energetic shift of New Year. And of course I am a witch, so I do believe in Samhain as my spiritual New Year, but I think there's an undeniable mass shifting of the energy when the actual Gregorian calendar changes, right? Because everybody, whether they're spiritual or not, whether they have a religious path or not, whether they even think that much about those kinds of things or not, they still have that feeling that it's the end of the year, it's the beginning of a new year, it's the beginning of a new chapter. So I feel like you're really riding off of all of that energy. You can feel the new year energy when it comes to the beginning of a new year. It's crazy, it's everywhere. And I really pick up on it, and I really ride that cosmic wave. I ride that energetic wave in a witchy way. And so for me, it is a big deal. So I feel like there's been some cleaning up to do in the shadow work department as well before that big energetic shift comes. And I know if you guys some of you guys that were watching me last year, you'll know that I had a lot of feels about the shifting into 2015. And I feel very similarly about this year as well. So meditation has been one of those things that has really brought me back to centre. It's calmed me, it's given me perspective where and when I needed it, and so I want to pass on to you some of my ideas about meditation. And I'll start by saying that I have made 2 videos about meditation before, and I will leave them for you in the doobly-doobly-doo, because I am helpful like that. This video, I guess, is for people who struggle to sustain their meditation practice, or who sit around wondering if they're doing it right, or who, start to practice meditation and then think, and feel a little bit like that about it. Meditation is not about cancelling out thought. It's not about achieving and attaining a state of thoughtlessness per se, but it's about that lack of attachment to cognitive thought. It's about what's beyond that, and it's about the fact that you are not your thoughts. So it's about that reconnection with what's beyond cognitive thought. Don't tell yourself that if you are having thoughts or experiencing thoughts or becoming aware of your thoughts that you are doing it wrong. That's not what's happening at all. You're not doing it wrong. In fact, at this point, I think I'll recommend a book to you. I don't have it to hand because I'm at my mother's house, because I'm about to move to my new place on Monday. Now, what's the name of this book I want to recommend? Pick up a copy of Why Can't I Meditate by Nigel Wellings, if you are the kind of person who tends to feel like if I'm having thoughts I'm doing it wrong, or if you're second guessing your practice a lot, definitely pick up that book. It's incredibly informative, it's a really good read, it's very readable and accessible, and it will give you a lot of information along the lines of the tips I'm going to give you now in this video, because I really do relate strongly with and agree with a lot of the things that are written in that book. So definitely I would recommend that book. So yeah, don't tell yourself that if you're having thoughts you're doing it wrong. If you're registering your thoughts and witnessing your thoughts you're doing it wrong. Do not let that be a reason that you give up and stop meditating. Meditation is usually about focusing on an object of mindfulness, and focusing on that object of mindfulness to the detriment of all other objects or thoughts. and that's kind of where it begins. But that's not where it ends. You know, we focus on the object of mindfulness and we go into a state of concentration, you know, and that's not where it ends either. Quite often then we get distracted, as you so often do when you're doing work, or where sometimes when you're in conversation and you can't quite think where you were going with it. You know, distraction is absolutely normal, it's absolutely human. So you'll begin with your object of mindfulness, you'll concentrate on that object of mindfulness, and then you'll become distracted, and then you will completely forget about the object of mindfulness, and then you will bring yourself back to a state of remembering, and then you will remember, I'm focusing on the object of mindfulness, and then you will focus and concentrate on the object of mindfulness. Then once again you will become distracted by something, and it continues. And the meditation teacher Jack Cornfield said once that we need to expect to do this thousands of times as practitioners of meditation. Thousands upon thousands of times. It's not wrong, it's not a mistake, it's not an accident, it's absolutely part of what it is to meditate. Don't worry, everything is okay, everything is going exactly as it should be going for you in meditation if you are finding that you are prone to distraction and forgetting, and then having to come back to the object of mindfulness and remember, and once again to concentrate. You're not broken if you do that, you know, it's absolutely part and parcel of the process. I speak to a lot of clients and a lot of people online, a lot of spiritual peeps in my line of work, and a lot of friends and family members who have told me that the thing that frustrates them most about meditation is that the outcome varies so wildly from session to session, that they can find that for a couple of days they have a really strong meditation practice and they feel like there's a lot of momentum in that, and it gets quite exciting, and they really feel like they're getting somewhere, you know, they're doing something with their practice, and isn't this great? And then one day they'll sit meditation and it will just be a big old heap of blamongy goo, and it will just be thoughts and distractions and disturbances and aches and pains and itches, and the temperature's not right, and you know, it's irritating, you can hear something outside the window, and it just all unravels. And I often get told that that's the most frustrating thing. And what I would be inclined to advise you, if you're sitting here watching this video thinking, yeah, that's what it is, it's just that lack of consistency in the outcome, I would advise you that your ego is in the driver's seat, and your ego needs to, you know, be told to go and sit down in a corner somewhere and think about what they're doing with their life, because essentially you're not really going anywhere per se with your meditation practice. In my experience, from the time that I've been doing meditation, consistency is far more important. Consistency of practice, should I say, is far more important than consistency of the outcome. Sometimes you will sit and it will feel like it will just be amazing. You'll instantly slip into this state of no mind, and when you come around from that experience you feel a state of accomplishment, and it's almost not from a place of ego, but it's from this place of knowing. You can feel on a cellular level that you've done something incredible for both body and mind, and certainly for spirit, for soul, and you know that the day is going to be better as a result of sitting meditation. Yes, that does happen. Is that wrong? No, of course, not necessarily. But of course there are going to be these other times where you will tell yourself that you failed because you didn't achieve that state, you know, and that's actually quite wrong, and that's coming from a place of ego. If you sat meditation, there is no failure. If you sat, then there is no failure, okay? There's always going to be trends in your meditation practice. There's always going to be ups and downs. Things are going to undulate. That's kind of the way the practice works. And you can take something from every single time that you sat meditation, the good, the bad and the ugly. The times that you feel it went well, the times that you gave up halfway through, the times when you really, you know, you felt like giving up completely. There's something to be taken from every single time that you sit, I can promise you that. Before you begin an earnest practice of consistent meditation, you need to get down with Jack Cornfield's kind of statement that you need to go through this distraction and remembering and forgetting and remembering, and you know, you need to go through it thousands of times, and it's something that you just need to tell yourself, and you need to be honest with yourself about that. And I think for me, when I got really real about the fact that sometimes meditation is going to be, afterwards, in hindsight, I'm going to feel that meditation has been incredible and has felt so artful and so meaningful and memorable and profound, and then other times I'm going to sit meditation and things just aren't going to go quite how I wanted them to go, and maybe I'm going to feel like it was a little bit flimsy, maybe I didn't achieve no mind, maybe I've really got something on my mind that's really taking a lot out of me energetically, and it was difficult to shift that off of me, or give that up, you know. And that's okay, and I record every single session I do, whether it's 10 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, an hour. I always put a little something in my meditation journal afterwards just to write about the experience, and sometimes it will just be a bit flimsy, not really feeling great about it, had a lot on my mind, couldn't shift this one kind of pervading thought, you know. In the Vipassana school of meditation, there is a theory that you should name your thoughts before you release them. So the idea with meditation is that when you have a thought, you can acknowledge the thought, but then you need to release it. So I always talk about it like it's clouds in a blue sky. Imagine that the thoughts are the clouds and the state of no mind, or the state of non-attachment, is the blue sky. The clouds will roll by. You cannot stop them from rolling by. If you try to resist them and stop them from rolling by, they're just going to come through your fingertips, right? They're just going to come in through your fingers, and you're just going to get more stressed. The idea is to allow those fluffy white clouds to roll by, but don't focus on them. Focus on the blue that is behind them. And that is the best analogy that I could come up with for what it's like to not resist your thoughts, but instead to switch to a state of non-attachment, to a state of acceptance and non-attachment when it comes to your thoughts. In the Vipassana school of meditation, there's this idea that when a thought comes along, when a fluffy white cloud comes along, one of the best things to do is to name it. Now, I don't know a great deal about this particular school of meditation. I just want to put that out there now. I do not follow any particular school of meditation. In the past, I have dabbled with different theories, but I've actually come up with what I, maybe unsurprisingly to you, feel is a very tasty mishmash of different things. If you've watched my channel for any length of time, then you know that I am all about that. So I've just kind of cherry picked a little bit from here and a little bit from there. You know, I do use binaural beats, I do use chakra meditations, I do use different forms of breath work, different forms of pranayama. So I like different things, you know, I like a mixed bag. I like a meditation hamper, a cornucopia, a little goodie bag, a lucky dip. Let's get back to this Vipassana theory thing. Okay, so the idea with this theory is that you name your thought before you release it. This might be helpful to you if you tend to find that thoughts crowd you in your meditation practice and you're constantly trying to resist them. You're constantly trying to push away these clouds, you know. I would definitely recommend quitting that resistance thing, because it's not going to help. You know, your mind is inclined to have thoughts. So if you're resisting, then the thoughts will be persisting. That's the rule in psychology. So instead, what I would ask you to do is use this Vipassana technique of categorizing your thoughts. This has helped me tremendously. I've done it so many times. Okay, so basically, let's say that you get a itch in your left knee, and you focus on that as a thought. It comes into your head, oh, my left knee is itching. What you would do is to immediately categorize that as a physical sensation. So it's a thought that's identifying a physical sensation. So you say physical sensation, and then you move back to the object of mindfulness, if that's your breath or the music you're listening to, whatever. So then maybe a second or two later, or a minute or two later, you have a memory about your ex-partner. And so you identify that as a memory. That's a memory. And then you let it go and you return back to the object of mindfulness. Let's say that 5 or 10 minutes into the meditation, you hear the binman outside, or the milkman outside, or somebody backing up in a driveway. And so you would identify that and categorize that as a sound. Then that's categorized, and you move back to the object of mindfulness. You can do this over and over again. And what it does for me is it triggers this response that I need to feel like I know that's there, but it's not what I'm concentrating on right now. And so it's almost a little bit like when I use post-its in my Filofax. If something pops into my brain and I think, oh, I need to do something about that later, I need to action that at a later stage, but it can't be in my head now because I'm really trying to focus on this, then I'll grab a post-it and I'll just write it down. For me, the Vipassana naming of the thoughts technique is a lot like that. If I have a millisecond with myself to categorize that thought and put it in a box, then it's gone. And then I feel like, oh, okay, right, the cloud's gone now and it's just back to the blue sky. I really hope that that can be a particularly helpful tip for those of you who do feel crowded by thoughts, because I really do quite a lot of the time in my meditation. I really find, oh, okay, there's quite a lot coming in, and I switch straight to that categorization of the thoughts, and that's really helpful for me. So hopefully it can be helpful for some of you too. Before beginning a practice of meditation or taking up a practice of meditation again from where you left off, get clear on your motivation. Just understand for yourself why you are doing it and what you think that the benefits are. That can really give you the resilience that you need to power through when you find that the ego is taking a bit of a knock, you know, you feel like it's not really going too well. You might be berating yourself, telling yourself you're doing it wrong. Again, these are kind of ego-based fears, ego-based mechanisms. It's really good to be very clear on your motivation so that you can kind of harness that motivation and ride it through any pervading doubts or insecurities that you are having, because it is well worth it. It's so worth it. And I know that at times like this in my life, when everything is all over the place and you know, I'm staying at my mum's house and I've got bags of stuff everywhere and everything's just a little insane, I know that having a strong meditation practice has been helpful to me. Even if it's just for 5 or 10 minutes, even if the only time that I have to do it is when I'm lying down in bed. You know, if I can focus on that objective mindfulness to the detriment of all other things, and to release my thoughts and to know that it's okay to do that. It's okay to do that. Nothing is going to explode if I just let the fuck go. I need that. I need that for my soul. I need that for my sense of self-preservation. I need that for my sense of self-love. And so it has been a phenomenal tool for me, and it's totally free of charge. And the sooner that you start to take it up and get into the groove with it, the more you can pull it out of the bag when it really matters. And I think that's why many of us do meditation. We actually do meditation in preparation. I did a rhyme. I'm a poet and I didn't even know it. There's a Buddhist concept called the 5 hindrances, and I kind of want to leave you with this. This is what I want to talk about for the rest of the video, because I think that this is also a very helpful way of categorising or identifying what might be going wrong in your particular case, or what might be a problem that recurs in your particular case, so that you can kind of get clear on where it's coming from and how to tackle it. Desire, aversion, sleepiness, restlessness and doubt are the 5 Buddhist hindrances. So in Buddhist belief, they are the 5 things that are probably most likely to be going on when you feel like your meditation practice is not going the way you want it to go. It's kind of veered to the left, it's gone off track, it's gone rogue. And that's normally what's going on, one of these 5 hindrances. Desire, aversion, sleepiness, restlessness and doubt. In the book that I recommended to you at the beginning of this video, Why Can't I Meditate, there's a really funny little part where the author talks about the 5 hindrances and then describes them as grabby, grumpy, sleepy, jumpy and maybe. So they're like 5 irritating little dwarves that come and jump on your meditation practice. So they're like cute little alternative names for the 5 hindrances. Desire is the first of the 5 hindrances, and it can also be known as grabby. And this is where the narrative of what you want constantly changes all of the time. So you desire to meditate and you sit in meditation, and then as soon as you're in meditation you desire something else. You desire to eat, or you desire to sleep, or you want something different. We quite often struggle to be in the now. We're so focused on the past or on the future. It's really difficult to be in the present, and a lot of that is to do with desire. You know, when we're psyche diving into the past, we're probably desiring that things could have been different, or we're desiring to be healed and to be okay with what happened before in the past. If we're future tripping, then we're probably thinking about what we want in the future, what we need to plan for, what we hope will come to be. So it's very much about desire, and that's an ever shifting, very dynamic narrative. And so desire, or grabby as we could call it, is definitely one of those things that gets in the way. Always go back to your pure motivation for meditation. Ensure that before you sit meditation, you think about why you're sitting meditation. You don't need to do this if you're practiced and you've been doing meditation for years, I guess. But I think when you first start out with a practice and you're struggling with it and you're really like, you know, coming to grips with how to sustain your meditation and how not to be discouraged, then going back to your pure intention, your motivation for meditating is definitely useful before beginning. Aversion is the second hindrance, also known as grumpy. And this hindrance is all about reluctance, resistance, procrastination, those things where you feel like you know why you want a practice of meditation, but it just seems a little bit too much like hard work. Or maybe you're worried that it won't go as well as you want it to go, and so your ego will be bruised, or you know, you'll feel hurt in some way. You'll feel like you're excluded from the joy of what it really is to meditate, and so you'd rather not begin in the first place. You might even have a fear of what might change if you meditate. You know, the deeper fear for you might be that your personality will change, or your perception of whatever situation or relationship you're dealing with at the moment might change. You know, some people don't want to do what's good for them because they fear the outcome. They fear that they may let something go that at the moment they are keenly grabbing onto, even though they are aware that it is harmful or hurtful or unnecessary or dysfunctional. You know, those things can be at work. So it's really important to be honest with yourself about that. And also be honest with yourself about time. Be honest with yourself about how many hours are in the day, how many hours are in the week. You have 10 minutes to meditate. So if you're kind of struggling with that feeling of resistance that comes from having no time, then just always go back to that Zen Buddhist quotation that I so love, that little kind of truism that says, meditate for 20 minutes every day, and if you don't have time to meditate for 20 minutes, then you need to meditate for an hour. And isn't that so true? Because if you can't meditate for 20 minutes, if you don't have time for that, then your priorities need a complete restructuring. And in order to be able to do that kind of restructuring, you should always begin with meditation. Meditation will help you to do that. So if you're downplaying the importance of focusing on the meditative practice, then the likelihood is that you need meditation more than you ever have in your life. Remember to let go of the expectation, let go of that desire for perfection. Like I said at the beginning of this video, some meditation sessions will go marvellously, and they will feel so good, and it will feel so easy, and you'll slip into it and it will be like the missing piece of a jigsaw puzzle. Other times will be a little erratic, a little complicated, maybe slow going, maybe there'll be a lot of noise, maybe you'll get distracted in some ways. You know, just let go of the desire to micromanage the meditation experience and just flow with it. Sleepiness is the third hindrance, also known as sleepy the dwarf. And this is where your kind of desire to focus physically and mentally turns into a slouchy, slumpy, drowsy kind of feeling where it's like, oh, do I actually want to sleep right now? Am I going to sleep right now? Hands up who's done that in a group meditation class. Yeah, and when the gong went off, I was like, oh god, I was asleep, shit. I wonder who was looking. If you practice magic, or any form of manifestation of the woo-woo variety, then this is a big one for you. This is a big one, because this is where you make a conscious choice. You decide, okay? So when you find that you're getting sleepy in the midst of a meditation session, you have a conscious choice which way that you're going to go. You can take that energy and re-harness it and focus on going deeper into the meditative state, or you can just give up and lie on your side and have a nap. But if you really want to become a powerful practitioner of magic, or a powerful wielder of manifestation skills, then this sleepiness that you sometimes find yourself in the midst of in meditation is a perfect opportunity to show yourself that you are in control of the most magical tool there is, and that's the tool of the mind. I watched a meditation workshop online once, and the woman in the workshop said that when you feel that sleepiness in meditation, imagine it like a Y on its side, a capital Y on its side, okay? So you're going along on your meditation practice and you hit this Y, and you have a conscious choice between just sleeping, falling asleep in your little like lotus position or half lotus position, or going up into this incredibly harnessed deep state of meditation. I might have to talk more about this in another video or blog about it or something, because I can't go into it too much now, since, you know, as usual, I have made a rather epically long video, and there are still 2 more hindrances that I need to let you know about. But yeah, you can definitely re-harness and repackage that sleepiness, and you can turn it into trance. And you know, for magical beings, for witchy manifesting beings, that is part of the art, right? That is a key part of the art. Restlessness is the 4th hindrance, or jumpy, as we could alternatively call it. This can sometimes be to do with an over-focused attention, where you're really like on high alert and every little thing is in your awareness, you know. Quite a lot of the time I've noticed with clients I've spoken to and worked with in the past, when they talk to me about meditation and that feeling of restlessness, jumpiness, you know, I often find that what they're doing is they're meditating after a day at work, or they're meditating just after they've eaten. And I always say, try meditating first thing as soon as you wake up. Literally as soon as you wake up. Don't wake up and clean your teeth and start making some plans and speak to somebody on the phone, but do it literally upon waking, where, you know, there's still that fuzziness, there's still that haziness. Definitely consider that. Try switching from the breath to a mantra or something else for a while and see how that goes. Sometimes focus on the breath can cause jumpiness in people who are very type A in nature. Also take a look at, you know, whether you do tend to be a micromanager, somebody who struggles with delegation of tasks, somebody who struggles with this feeling that everything is on them, you know, somebody that lives in a bit of a pressure cooker. Meditation and the problems that you have with meditation can often be wildly and accurately indicative of what's going on in your outer life that you really need to deal with and change and focus on and look at. It's the same with sleepiness in meditation. You know, have a look at your relationship to relaxation itself and your relationship to focus and work and things like that. You can often find in your meditation practice evidence of what really needs to be shifted up in your outer life, and that's why meditation and the rest of your life can marry up so perfectly and they can complement each other so well. Doubt is the fifth hindrance, or maybe, as we will call it. The alternative name is maybe. And this is where you start to think things like, is this working? Am I in no mind yet? Why am I doing this? Is there a point to this? Isn't this a little bit of a waste of time? Try answering why with why not. So if you sit around asking, why am I meditating? Why am I doing this? Then try asking yourself, why not? I mean, what would you be doing instead? Would you just be scrolling Instagram? You know, what would you be doing instead? Like, what, you know, what is grabbing your attention so much? What really needs doing to such an extent that you can't sit for 10 minutes or 15 minutes? Be honest with yourself, and be honest with yourself about how much time you spend on Instagram or thinking about some crap you can't change that just stresses you out. I mean, you know, I think it's just about being honest with yourself. Why am I doing this? Or do I really have time for this? Those questions, when we ask, well, why not do this? You know, they often answer themselves. The Buddha tells a story about a man who's been shot by an arrow, and somebody comes along to aid him in removing the arrow and cleaning the wound. But the man who's been shot insists that before the arrow is removed and the wound is cleaned, he needs to know absolutely everything that there is to know about archery. But it's obvious that the arrow needs to be removed anyway, right? So really it's just a delay in a process of something that's going to be incredibly helpful, and it's an incredibly functional, practical thing to do, and it's going to be of substance, it's going to be of benefit. So what's the point in having to know every single thing? You know, having to know all the ins and outs and how the ground is going to be laid and, you know, your 5-year meditation plan. And I think that's the Buddha's very skillful and very poetic way of saying, just fucking do it, babe. Just fucking do it. Just sit, and then you'll see what's up, you know. You don't need to overthink it. You don't need to overthink it, just do it. That's all for now. I hope that my tips about meditation can help you to get through some rough, ready times in your own life. And start today, don't delay. And until next time, so much love. Blessed be.